So the way the Pommeau recipe is going to work is I've got 5 gallons of fresh cider. I've got 2 gallons of some very fresh apple brandy. It's been sitting on medium toast French oak chips for 2 weeks. And it is a higher proof coming out of the still. This is at about, I'll measure it in a bit. I think it's right around 100 proof, and I want it at 80 proof. So I'm going to transfer it into a clean bucket and then dilute it with some fresh bottled water. And then as I slowly dilute it, I'll be checking it with a proof and trawl meter until it gets down to 80 proof. So let's go ahead and see how that works. Alright, you can see here it's a little less than 110 proof. Call it 105. Rough guess. Trying to avoid aeration in general, so I'm going to go ahead and use a racking tube for all of the transfers. I'm actually not really sure if that's super important, but that's the decision that I made. As a side note, for those of you who do fermenting and use vessels like these plastic ones, it happens that the cover, the cap I should say, is the right diameter for 3-inch PVC. And with a little bit of finesse, and I used a table saw, you've got a lovely wrench to allow you to tighten down on these caps so no leaks, which is very useful when you're driving the carboys home. Here we are with the 2 gallons of higher proof in the bucket. We need to get it from about 105-ish proof down to 80 proof. So using seat of the pants math, we're looking to drop the proof about 20%. So that says to me that we should take 20% of 2 gallons, put it in here. So 20% of 2 gallons is 0.4 gallons. I'm going to put in less than that and test. All right, we're at 80 proof, and the proofing down to 80 from about 105 took 8 cups of water. And so now, just to kind of try to be accurate, we're going to use a gallon jug to measure so that both of the 3-gallon carboys get the same amount of our poor man's Calvados. And then we're gonna top it back up with cider. Remember that we are generally trying to avoid too much splashing. This part is going to take longer than it would have if I was just willing to pour. All right, the final transfer, I'll be topping up with cider enough so that I leave some room to add oak chips, and then we'll seal the tops and let them sit in a dark cellar place for as long as I can stand it before I feel an obligation to give it a try. I'd like to try to make it a year, but I don't see that happening. As a side note, these 2 glasses are apple brandy from the same batch, except that one of them has been sitting on the French oak cubes for the 2 weeks. The other one has had nothing added to it. All right, here we are. We got 2 3-gallon carboys of the mix We've got 2 cups of cider and 1 cup of apple brandy, just so I can have something to drink now. This is what's left of the brandy before, you know, poor man's Calvados, as I say. This is what's left after I've done all of the dilution. And then we've got some cider left over. Some of the cider is going to go into the freezer so that when racking time comes, we'll be able to do some topping off. And of course, the apple brandy can just sit and wait until it's time. So, that's the gist of it. We'll see you next year.